Hello everyone, I'm Jimin. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I want to tell you something very important, something that I have kept in my heart. Paris, a city full of light and beauty, turned out to be a silent witness of my inner struggle. When I stood on the banks of the Seine, staring at the reflection of the city lights sparkling on the surface of the water, I felt that my time for silence was over. I have to say it now before it's too late. Those words had settled for too long, pressing on my chest like an invisible, yet very real weight. My trip to Paris this time was actually just part of the work schedule, but somehow my heart felt different. Every step on the cobbled streets, every gust of autumn wind that touched my face, all felt like a gesture. I walked through the Champs-Élysées in a heavy jacket. People turned their heads, some recognized me, some only caught a glimpse. But I just lowered my head, trying to catch my breath, because behind the little smile I showed, there was something deeper that kept whispering. Tell me now, Jimin, don't wait any longer. I remember the first time I stood on stage with the other members, in front of thousands of cheering people. The feeling was overwhelming, but also terrifying. As time passed, we all grew, changed, and found ourselves. However, I often felt that there was a side of me that I never really showed, not because I didn't want to, but because I was afraid. Afraid of people's reactions, afraid of the consequences, afraid that what I say will hurt those I love the most, the army. Here in Paris, I found that courage. Either because of the romantic atmosphere, either because of the silence of the night accompanied by the sound of street music, or maybe because I realized that life is too short to keep postponing. I walked down the Pont Alexander III bridge. The wind was quite strong, my hair was messy, and my eyes were wet with water that either came from the cold of the night or from my own emotions. I have to say it now, I whispered to myself. I know words are simple, but the impact can be overwhelming. I imagined the ever-present face of Army, who wrote messages of love every day, who came from all over the world just to encourage. I imagined the smiles of the other members, the smiles that have become home to me. But among all that, I also imagined myself, an ordinary Park Jimin, who has fears, misses, secrets, and wounds. In a small cafe in Paris, I sat alone, staring at a cup of coffee that had started to cool. I opened the little notebook I always carry with me, its pages full of messy handwriting. There were unfinished lyrics, there was an outpouring of heart that I never shared, and there were sentences that only I knew the meaning of. One sentence I wrote with a capital letter. Don't be afraid anymore, Jimin. I smiled bitterly at the writing. I realize I've been too hard on myself. I always wanted to be perfect, wanted everyone to be happy, even if it meant I had to hide a part of myself. But now I want to change. I want to be more honest, more courageous, and more free. Paris gave me a chance to breathe for a moment, away from the glare of the cameras that were always following me. Here I can become someone who is not only known as an idol, but as a vulnerable human being. And tonight, staring at the shining Eiffel Tower in the distance, I finally made a promise to myself. I will no longer delay these words. I will say it, even if my voice trembles, even if I cry in the middle of a sentence. The truth I've been holding on to for so long isn't something simple. It's a mixture of love, guilt, and freedom. I want to say how grateful I am to all who are always there, but also I want to be honest that there are times when I feel tired. There are times when I feel alone despite being in a crowd. I want them to know that I am also a human being, who can be fragile, who can fall, but can also get up again. And it was in Paris that I chose to let go. The words finally came out, not just in the form of a voice, but in tears that fell without me being able to bear it. I feel light, although I know the journey after this will not be easy. But for the first time in a long time, I felt free. I closed my eyes, letting the Parisian night breeze wash over my face. I whispered quietly, Army, I love you. But more than that, I want you to know that I love myself now too. I will no longer hold back these words. I have to say it now, and I did. And as the Eiffel Tower stood majestically in front of me, I knew that this small step would be the beginning of something bigger, something more honest, and something more beautiful. My hands trembled as I wrote down the last few sentences in a notebook. I don't know if tomorrow I will dare to show this writing to others, but at least tonight, I have dared to write it. That alone makes me feel like a new person. When the cafe waiter approached to take the cup, he looked at me for a moment. Vous allez bien? He asked softly. I just smiled, nodding slowly. He may not know who I am, or maybe he knows but chooses to pretend he doesn't know. And somehow I find it more comfortable. I then walked out, letting the drizzle wet my jacket. Paris at night has always had a charm that cannot be described in words. The music from an accordion player on the corner made my steps feel slower. I walked down the path to the Eiffel Tower, which still sparkled brightly, as if calling to me. In the middle of the road, I picked up my phone. My fingers hesitated for a moment, but I finally pressed the front camera button. I looked at my face on the screen. Slightly swollen eyes from crying, a half-finished smile and messy hair. I recorded a short message. "Hello everyone, I'm Jimin. Don't forget to like and subscribe." I tried to joke with a smile, but my voice trembled. I am in Paris now. Tonight I learned something important, that it's never too late to tell the truth. I know I may look strong in front of you, but I'm also human. I have fears, I have homesickness, and I have secrets that I can't always share. But now, I want to be more honest. I paused, looked at the screen, then continued. If I've ever looked fragile, if I've ever felt distant, it's not because I don't care. Precisely because I care too much. I'm afraid to disappoint you. But now I realize you deserve to know who I really am. After recording, I didn't upload it right away. I put it in the gallery and looked at it again. My heart is pounding. It was like standing on the edge of an abyss, but there were wings on my back waiting to open. At the Eiffel Tower, I stood among a crowd of tourists. They were busy taking photos, laughing, cheering as the lights twinkled every hour. I stood still, looked up, and my tears fell again. This time not because it was sad, but because I felt so small and yet so real. I have memories with other members. When we first came to Paris a few years ago, everything felt like a dream. We ran through the streets, laughed nonstop, ate croissants in the morning, and posed in front of the Eiffel Tower like little children who couldn't believe they were really there. Those memories hit me tonight. How quickly time flies. How much has changed. I also remember how I often tried to hide my true feelings from them. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want them to worry. But I know they can always read my face. Namjoon Hyung wisely always patted me on the shoulder. Yoongi Hyung always gave me a short, meaningful word. Habi Hyung always hugged me tightly, Jin Hyung with his jokes, Taeyong with a caring look, and Jungkook with loyalty that never wavered. They are all always there. And now, in the same city, I want to believe that I can start from scratch. That I can be more open, not only to them, but also to the millions of people who love me from afar. I wrote a long message on my phone, a draft of which I plan to upload on Weverse. The message reads, "Army, I want to be honest with you. I often get scared, I often feel like I'm not good enough, and I often procrastinate saying it. But now I promise, I will be braver. I want you to know that I love you, not just as the idol you support, but as Jimin, the human being who is constantly learning, falling, rising, and searching for the meaning of life. Thank you for always being with me, even when I couldn't speak. Today I decided not to delay anymore. I have to say it now. I stared at the draft for a long time. My hands are sweating. The upload button feels so heavy. But I finally closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and pressed it. The message floated out into the world, leaving Paris, spreading to all corners of the earth. In a matter of minutes, notifications start coming in. Armies from different countries responded with loving words. Someone wrote, "We're always here for you, Jimin." Some say, "Thank you for being honest. We love you for who you are." There were also those who wrote, "Do not be afraid. We will always support you." My tears fell again. I read them one by one with a heavy heart. It felt like the weight that had been on my chest was slowly lifting. I realized that my little courage tonight could open new doors not just for myself, but for a more sincere relationship with everyone who loves me. I sat on a park bench near the Eiffel Tower, letting it all sink in. Around me, people are busy with their own world. But I know on their phone screens, in their rooms, in their hearts, my words are echoing. I smiled, this time more sincerely. Paris gave me an invaluable gift, the courage to tell the truth. And I know tonight will always be remembered as the night I finally said to the world, "I have to say it now,